I heard them before I saw them. The deep, rhythmic thudding of rotor blades cutting through the pre-dawn dark. Not one helicopter, but several, moving in formation low enough to rattle the window glass. I was already awake. I hadn't slept much. The notebook page kept pulling at my thoughts. The handwriting that wasn't mine. The 7 words written in blue pen on a page I'd left blank. I'd stared at it for an hour before finally closing the notebook and forcing my eyes shut. By 5 a.m., I was standing at the window again. The sky to the north was lit up, not sunrise, the wrong direction, the wrong color. A cold, artificial white. Floodlights, maybe. Or something I didn't have a name for yet. At 5:23, the first convoy rolled down my street. They came from the west in a line so long I couldn't see where it ended. Armored vehicles. The heavy kind, the kind I'd only seen on news footage from other countries. Behind them, military trucks with canvas-covered beds, 2 Humvees with mounted hardware on top that I didn't examine too closely. They rolled slowly, deliberately, like they owned the road because they decided they did. Soldiers in full tactical gear rode on the sides and rear of the vehicles. Helmets, vests, rifles slung across their chests in the carry position. Not pointed at anything, but ready. Their faces were blank and focused, scanning the buildings as they passed. None of them looked uncertain. That was the part that scared me. I threw on clothes and went downstairs. On the street, a handful of my neighbors had already gathered on the sidewalk. 6 or 7 people standing in the gray morning light, watching the convoy pass without speaking. Marcus from the 4th floor was there. He'd had his go-bag packed since day 1, he told me once. Ex-military himself, 12 years, though he never said which branch. I stood next to him. Neither of us said anything for a moment. Checkpoints, he finally said, nodding toward the main avenue. They started setting them up about an hour ago. Avenue, the bridge, the highway entrance, all of them. They're blocking exits. He didn't answer. Which was an answer? We walked to the avenue together. What I saw there looked like something assembled overnight with total precision. Concrete barriers in a staggered pattern across both lanes. 2 armored vehicles parked nose to nose, closing the road. Soldiers positioned at intervals, not clustered together, but spread, professional. A crowd of maybe 50 civilians was pressing toward the checkpoint. Cars, too, backed up 3 or 4 deep, some with luggage visible through rear windows, people trying to leave. A soldier in a different uniform, an officer, judging by his posture and the way the others deferred to him, was speaking through a megaphone. His voice was flat and practiced. By order of the Office of Emergency Management, this road is temporarily closed for public safety reasons. Please return to your residences. Water distribution will begin at designated locations at 0900. More information will follow on emergency broadcasts. Someone in the crowd shouted, "What is the contamination? What did you contaminate?" The officer didn't flinch. He repeated the same message, word for word. That's when the crowd started pushing. Not violently, not yet. More like a collective lean forward. People trying to get closer, to make their presence undeniable, to force a different response through sheer volume. 2 soldiers stepped forward in unison. No weapons raised, no aggression. Just bodies stepping into the gap. But their hands moved to a more deliberate position, and the crowd read it correctly. The pushing stopped. Marcus touched my elbow and pulled me back from the edge of the crowd without a word. "Come on," he said quietly. "Don't be where that escalates." We walked back toward the building. On the way, we passed a woman sitting on the front steps of a brownstone, phone in both hands, not looking at the screen, just holding it. Her eyes were red. "My daughter lives in Westfield," she said to no one in particular. "That's 40 minutes from here. 40 minutes on a normal day." By mid-morning, a new word was moving through the neighborhood like smoke under a door. Quarantine. I heard it first from a teenager who'd been listening to something on a handheld scanner, then from a man who claimed his cousin was a paramedic and had received a group message before comms went down, then from a printed note inexplicably that someone had taped to a lamppost on 9th Street. No signature. No source, just block letters on white paper, QUAR Antine Zone. City limits sealed, do not attempt to breach perimeter. I stood in front of that note for a long time. Quarantine meant a reason. Quarantine meant something specific, something biological or chemical, something that justified locking 2 million people inside a ring of armed soldiers. And nobody was telling us what it was. Back in my apartment, I sat with the radio. I'd been rationing the batteries, but I needed something real. I swept the dial slowly for 20 minutes, mostly static. One station playing a pre-recorded emergency alert loop on repeat. The same message about staying calm and staying home. Then, briefly, on a frequency I'd normally dismiss, a voice. Male, young, speaking fast and low like someone talking while looking over their shoulder. Not a drill, this is confirmed. Zone 7 is already dark. They're not letting anyone in or out of the medical district. I counted at least 3 hazmat vehicles going in this morning and I haven't seen any of them come back out. Static. Zone 7. The medical district was 8 blocks north of me. I went to the window. The floodlights to the north were brighter now than they'd been at dawn. And for the first time since yesterday, I could smell something faint in the air when I cracked the glass. Something antiseptic. Sharp and cold. I closed the window. I picked up the notebook. The page with a handwriting that wasn't mine. I'd looked at it 100 times since yesterday. 7 words, written in clean, steady blue ink. Don't trust the water distribution points. I didn't know who wrote it, but at 09, when the soldiers announced water distribution would begin at the corner of 9th and Main, I watched from my window as people lined up below, and I did not go down. Someone knew this was coming. Someone left that note for me specifically. And somewhere in the medical district, 8 blocks away, something is happening that the military drove into and never drove back out of. Day 4. I'm going to find out what's in Zone 7.